I really felt that I needed to do a follow-up from my video of yesterday. After all, yesterday was an historic day. It was the first time in history that a past president and or a president running for office or a, a candidate for the president of the United States has been tried and convicted of a criminal offense. So forgive me if I have an opinion, and forgive me if I felt like I needed a follow-up from yesterday. I would only ask that those who are so shocked by my position to listen carefully to each point today. Listen carefully, think it through, take some time to respond. Do so with clear thinking, but also take into consideration my deeply held convictions and think about the fact that even when the umpire at third base gets the call wrong, 50% of the people in the stadium saw it one way and 50% saw it the other way. Does that make them wrong, or does that make them bad? Does that make them somebody you never want to do business with again because they saw the situation differently than you? Anyway, let's talk about some of the details. First of all, I do want to thank so many of you for your encouragement. I have very strong political opinions. They're founded on a lifetime of massive political research and involvement. I only rarely bring my political or my religious points of view into this arena, and I almost always do so when it's absolutely applicable to the economic situation or the Tesla issue that might be on the docket that day. For instance, I think Biden is really wrong in the way that he treats Tesla and Elon. I've said before that I think that the CHIP Act and the IRA bill and the industrial, whatever the third one was called, the Infrastructure Act, that I thought that there was some wisdom in those for bringing back manufacturing to the United States, but that I thought that they went way too far, and it was probably bad timing in terms of the economy at that time. So you see, I can be mixed on my analysis. At the same time, I think Trump is completely wrong about BEVs and electrification, along with a lot of the folks in the Republican Party. I try to make my analysis based on the facts at hand and based on, again, I'm a constitutionalist and I'm a capitalist. I'm not going to kid you on either one of those two, and those are going to show up in my analysis every single day. So, in response to some of you have questions about my reasoning in this case, some have said that I should just accept the results and that what happened, and they want to know what happened to my feelings about the rule of law. Am I not in favor of the rule of law? Some wonder that I think the justice system is corrupt. They're shocked that I think the justice system is corrupt, although I pointed out that I've thought the justice system is corrupt since my days in law school 50-some years ago. The left side of the aisle has been crying about a corrupt justice system for 7 years. I would say that's been maybe the number one thing that the left has been known for the last 70 years. So it seems that all of a sudden, folks that are on the left are criticizing me because I'm saying that the justice system isn't perfect in this case. I believe that our criminal justice system is the best in the world, but that it's deeply flawed. And I had one gentleman from England say yesterday, well, gosh, Randy, that's kind of an affront to English law. And I responded to him, hey, you guys have the second best system in the world, and ours is based on yours. So good news for both of us. I'm not going to be able to really judge all of the criminal justice systems in the world, but from what I've been able to see, it's not a deep study, believe me. The American system is an outstanding methodology combining rule of law with common law. That's the way we do it here. By the way, I accept the results, but I reserve the right to question what went into those results. And that will be Trump's right as well. This case will be on appeal for a decade. I can think of a dozen different easy appeals in this case. And so it ain't over until it's over. And appeals are part of the process. So he can be indicted. He can be found guilty by a jury. Then the judge has to actually rule in this case, and then they can decide what the penalties are going to be, and then the appeals process starts. And believe me, the appeals process, I think, again, all of you agree with the appeals process. Those of you who are against the death penalty, I know that you feel like the appeals process is where you can win it by keeping the cases alive for 20 or 30 or 40 years. That has been going on for a very long time. So the appeals thing is part of the process here in America. Would I change that appeals process? Would I make it a lot shorter? Would I make the entire process, the entire case, the way cases are handled in the United States a lot shorter? Yeah, but those are just some of the things that I think need to be fixed. All right, here are some specifics. Number one, you don't need to have a law degree that know that the higher the profile of the defendant you're going to prosecute, the more you need to have an absolutely rock solid case. Nobody thinks this was a rock solid case. Nobody. I haven't seen a single pundit say, oh yeah, this is like, no big deal. This is, these guys have it backwards, forwards, inside out. I mean, almost every Democratic pundit that I've seen speaking about it, somebody that's on the Democratic side, but is somebody who understands the law, somebody who is a lawyer or a judge or a professor of law, they can see that this is a very unusual case. You should also have, number two, you should have facts that are easily understood, not subject to a lot of controversy, and that show a serious crime. The crimes alleged are about the level of speeding tickets. They're misdemeanors. They're like the level of filing your taxes late. The star witness is a known liar, perjurer, and has stated that he wants to hurt Trump. And the average citizen has absolutely no chance of following the facts and the law in this case. So strike two. Again, none of this is even up for controversy. So far, I haven't said anything controversial at all. Number three, if you're going to go after a major political person, you need to have everyone on the prosecution side as pure as the driven snow in their objectivity. Now, if we're going to be prosecuting somebody for breaking and entering, oh, that's right, we don't prosecute people for breaking and entering anymore. We only prosecute people for mishandling their decisions about how they do their bookkeeping as a candidate. Okay, so if you're prosecuting somebody for breaking and entering and it's their second or third offense, nobody's going to question the judge. Well, somebody might question whether the judge is objective. They might say, oh, this judge is really, tough on criminals. And the other one might say, oh, this guy's really easy on criminals. Isn't that part of the argument that's been going on pretty much forever? So yes, judges can be biased in one way or the other. People have forum shopping. People look for the judge they think is going to be the best for their case. People hope that the judge is going to be appointed, that the judge that will be appointed to their case is going to be somebody that is pro-criminal or anti-criminal or pro-business or anti. This goes on all the time. So the prosecutor in this case has made it very, very clear that he is anti-Trump. He was running for office and said he was out to get Trump. So this would be similar to a police officer who decided to go after his daughter's boyfriend. So he gets in his police car and he follows the kid around as the kid's driving around town all day. And then the kid does a rolling stop and he turns on the sirens. That's about the level of what we're talking about here. He had to dig deeply. He had to run around and find some way to concoct a case. Nobody says this is not true. Again, there's no controversy on number three either. The prosecutor was after Trump and had to go find a case. It wasn't like somebody brought a case to him and says, oh, we need to. No, he had to go looking and try to find some way to possibly bring this case. Nobody questions whether the judge is pure as the driven snow. We know what his daughter does for a living. This is not hard. So if you got that situation, the prosecutor should probably stand aside and get somebody to prosecute other than him. And the judge should step aside and get somebody to come in that isn't so clearly potentially. The perception is what's important in this kind of case. Everything's about the perception. Is something about number 3 controversial? I think it's all just the facts on the table. I think everybody knows it to be true. So therefore, you want the perception to be perfect here because you're going after the ex-president of the United States. You're not going after a petty criminal that nobody except his mom cares about. Number 4, once you decide to actually go forward on such a case, you need to be interested in avoiding any perception of unfairness in the case itself. So why didn't the judge recuse himself? Why did the judge fail to change the venue? Nobody questions the fact that in that county, it's 95-5. 95% of the jurors are Democrat. Out of 100 jurors that were brought into the room at the very beginning of the trial, 50 of them said they had strong negative opinions about Trump. Those are the ones that admitted it. People say, oh, well, Randy, some of those jurors might have been Republicans. Some of those jurors might have been pro-Trump. And those jurors also agreed. I guess you haven't seen 12 Angry Men. You haven't seen the way that juries work. You haven't seen, I'm not going to try to defend this jury or not defend this jury. The jury was presented a set of facts based on the way that the prosecutor who is biased and the judge who has potential, who has the perception of bias. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying the perception of bias. And there was evidence during the trial that he was acting in a biased way. And those things will come out on appeal if those were biased decisions. I think they will. I think it's going to be an easy appeal case. All right. Now, I believe that if Barack Obama had been brought up on a similar kind of charge and tried in a Texas courtroom by a prosecutor who said they were out to get him and a judge whose daughter worked for a political campaign that would benefit from Obama being defeated just before the election, some who see things one way today might see them differently if that were the case. I'm just, maybe, think it through. Some individuals have actually said they're no longer going to follow my channel due to my position on the case. I believe that Elon Musk and pretty much every other major YouTuber who follows Elon has taken exactly the same position as me, or hasn't taken a position at all, but they would, if they did take a position, they would agree. I can think of a couple of major YouTubers who follow Elon who have not probably shown their political side, but I know them personally. And anyway, moreover, if you have believed in the past, I'm just talking to those folks who are thinking about no longer watching the channel. It's okay. It's not gonna kill my channel. It's not probably gonna cost me, it's not gonna cost me that much for you to leave the channel. But I just want to say to you, if you have believed up until now that this channel is providing you with value, but that all of a sudden my position on this one cause would cause you to think you were wrong all that time, to have believed this channel and to take an advice from this channel, then I want to question your judgment over the past, or maybe I'm questioning your judgment about the decision you're making now. Wisdom would hold that you would want to gather your information about any particular subject from resources that show an ability to bring great information and great analysis and great guests that are useful to you. And if that channel happens to believe some really weird stuff, really weird stuff, well, turn them off. Well over 50% of the legal pundits following this case have said that there is reversible error. And that this case was not a smart case to bring in the first place. And then if you want to get purely political, it doesn't look like it's going to be a benefit to the Biden campaign and may, in fact, end up helping the Trump campaign. Okay, that's what I've got to say on this subject. I probably have missed a whole bunch of other thoughts and ideas that I could have brought up at the same time. I just thought that these were some of the major ones that really needed to be fully fleshed out. I'm going to continue to produce the best possible. I'm going to gather together all of the news that I can on Tesla on a daily basis. I'm going to go looking deeply into the economic news of every single day. I'm going to go when the PCE comes out, the PCE comes out like today. I'm going to deeply dive in and make sure that I'm bringing you 100% of what's going on those reports rather than just the headlines. That's what I do here. It's a little different than anybody else that covers Tesla on YouTube. I hope that that's the difference, maybe, that causes you to follow the channel. And I'm going to do my own analysis, but then I'm going to bring on all these other guys to do analysis too, some of whom you guys seem to even like better than me. I don't understand that. But anyway, I'm going to be bringing on Larry and Brian and Bradford and Nicholas and Jeff Lutz. And I'm going to bring in all these guys on that are really, really bright. And hopefully we're going to, between us all, we're going to provide you with some outstanding benefits and information and knowledge and useful stuff that might help you make some decisions with regard to how you invest your money, even though none of what we say is ever investment advice. Hey, listen, as always, it's been great talking to you.